Hi there, my name is Cupicate, and welcome back to a WolfQuest Wolf Talk. Now, this Wolf Talk is actually going to include a poll. The Lost River map has come out, and I want to do a series in Lost River. The map is beautiful. Yes, it's a little buggy. It's been released. I've been playing around with it a little bit and noticed a few things. But I feel as though once we have decided what wolf we're gonna play, those bugs should be mostly smoothed out. But deciding who to play, that's gonna be the hard part. So we have had a lot of wolves, lovable wolves, in our WolfQuest series. Some of them have been main characters for a while. Some of them we've lost, like Sarah, for example. So we're going to go in and look at some wolves, and then I'm going to show you the poll that I have in mind to start. Once we fulfill this poll, there will likely be another one depending on what is chosen. So let's get into this. So to start with, we have our brothers. Our brothers currently have a series going on right now. They are still in Slough Creek because that is where their story is meant to be told. As much as I would love to take Teo into Lost River, the game does not allow for you to take your current mate into Lost River. And Teo's not going to leave Sundance just to go home. And after Sundance passes from her age, Teo will not take on another mate. He is truly, truly in love with her to a point that he will love her to her death and never love another. So they are not really options for us to take into Lost River. But we haven't forgotten about Charm. So Charm, in the midst of all of this, lost Aspen, went on and decided she still wanted a family. Charm was always the family wolf. She loved her children. She loved her pups. It was evident when we played Aspen, and it was evident when we played her in her own series, Phoenix Rising. I love Charm as a character. I love her growth. I loved her struggle. I loved watching what she did in her series. I even loved all of the pups that she had. And I love that at the end of raising her pups, she chose to drop vengeance, and she even gave Aspen's collar to one of her sons as a way of letting go. And so she has, in a lot of ways, let go of Aspen and the desire to move on, to a point that she wants to remove herself from it altogether. As much as I love the idea of Charm coming in to help in this possible valiant battle between good and evil of Crevice Lake and our Snagglefang and Ovarian pack, I'm still unsure if there's gonna be a war. There's many, many ways that this story could go, and I have a whole web of ideas of where it could go. But I don't want to spoil too much because otherwise that takes the fun away of it. I think it might be a fun idea if Charm chose to walk away from her life in Amethyst Mountain and Slough Creek, trying to find her way somewhere else, and she stumbles upon a very strange place nestled in the valleys of many, many mountains and large hills. Perhaps that's where she finds her story, or where she grows to realize she does need to go home at some point. But I could definitely see her running away from it all. Now, Charm would be a little difficult. I would end up having to essentially play another litter with her to get her to the proper age where she would be if she went to Lost River to find a new mate. It also means losing Calum. So currently she has Calum as a mate. Calum is the one that gave her a litter. And we'll go ahead and look at that real quick. So as you can see, we have Charm here, and this is her before she gets rid of her radio collar, and we have Calum, her mate. He was not a bad mate, he just wasn't really memorable, but he was memorable enough to know that he stood with her during the entire time she was essentially trying to seek vengeance on Crevice Lake, and she achieved her goals. But vengeance is not always the way, and I think in some ways she's kind of struggling with what she's done. I also believe that a couple of her children have put a lot of pressure on her in her decisions that she's made, and even has been disappointed in the decisions that she's made. Not all of her children, but some of them are not proud to know that their mother is a killer. Now, in the life of wolves and wolf packs, wolves kill wolves all the time. It's a little different, but because we do put human-like ties to these creatures, it would make sense that some of her pups would think you went too far and I don't like that, and would even walk away from her. And I even think that Caleb, just in the way that he acted in general, he always stood by her side. But perhaps after all of that being done, maybe even he thought, I don't even like the actions I took. So if we end up choosing Charm to go into Lost River, I think that they would have a mutual separation, deciding that their ideals did not match, and perhaps that the events between the two of them and having taken lives of Crevice Lake, as well as pushing them all the way out of Slough Creek altogether, maybe that weighed heavier on Caleb than he cared to admit at first. But now that it was done and over with, maybe he's a little angry that she dragged him into such a vengeful act. So I think if we end up choosing Charm to go into Lost River, we would absolutely have to have a wolf talk on the events that took place between them. I do believe that even though I would have to play her behind the scenes to essentially get her age up to where it should be, I would just delete that family. That family essentially wouldn't exist. So what we would say is Charm did not actually have puppies, but to age her in the game, I technically have to make her have puppies and do playthroughs. But I'll just delete that. We'll say those pups never existed. They didn't happen. And that Charm simply just did not have litters during that period of time. But now she wants to, but she can't stay in Slough Creek anymore. It feels wrong to her. She's been kind of, shame, shame, we know your name from her kids and now her mate. And so with their lack of support now for what she's done and making her feel guilty for what she's done, she's removing herself altogether. But Charm will be our first option of our poll to take to Lost River, essentially for her to find healing within herself of what she's done, decide whether or not she accepts what she's done as right or wrong, or a middle ground, because that can happen as well. I think it would be a fun adventure, but I'm going to leave it up to you. But then it comes down to Charm's pups. So she still had a whole litter with Caleb, a litter that is available for us to play. We have not played any of her pups, and I have written some ideas down from a very, very long time ago now that we talked about in a live stream of some traits that these wolves might have. And so if we end up choosing to play one of Charm's wolves, this is where we will have to go into another poll. I'd have to write out stories, possibly quirks, flaws, goals, in order to choose who we're going to play. But I thought for a moment we could go briefly and look at some of these pups to see if that helps you decide who to vote for in the poll. Like I said, this poll is like the beginning of possibly many. I'm hoping it would just be the beginning of 2. You'll just be voting for either Charm's pups, and then I have a few other options along the way. But here are some of her pups. We have Lyra, Moth, Little Windy, who is a runt, so that would be a runt playthrough, Wild Song, Acer, Archer, Ashen, And we're back to Charm. And Acer, the reason that Acer is wearing this radio collar is because he is the son that Charm gave Aspen's collar to. So this collar is actually Aspen's collar. He was the largest brother and the one that felt closest to Aspen spiritually, even though Aspen was not his biological father. He felt a spiritual connection to his father, and so that is why Charm chose to give him the radio collar as a way of having his spiritual father with him. So those are her pups and possible options for us to play in the Lost River map. If they get chosen, I will write out stories of reasons for all of them to possibly go to Lost River. So next is not Seraph, because Seraph has passed on and she is now running forever as Eartha's champion. So she will not be playable in Lost River, obviously. As you can see, she is marked in the game as dead. But we have all of her pups. Many, many pups. But we will only be choosing, as I said in previous videos, if you want to go back and watch Seraph's pup reveal of her most recent litter, and we even did a pup review of her past wolves that have the potential of being played. All of those wolves in those videos have the potential, including little Theo that comes from a much older litter that y'all didn't get to see. So any of those wolves can be played. I'm not going to go through them just because those videos are so recent. You can just go back and watch them in the WolfQuest playlist. There's a lot to choose from, but sometimes that's pretty exciting. If we end up going with Seraph's pups, I will do the same. I will end up writing reasons for all of them to possibly go to Lost River, and then you will get to choose who goes in a separate poll. So you wouldn't be choosing in this poll, it would be a separate poll. I do want to advise, now that I'm thinking about it, and I probably should wait till the end of this video to mention it, but I'm gonna mention it now. This is very important, so make sure you're paying attention to this part. Please do not choose a wolf just because their coat is pretty. There is a lot of pretty coats. There's a lot of coats that repeat themselves. Like, for example, the Cinderella coat repeats itself a lot. I know it is very easy to choose with your eyes. Even I find myself doing it when I'm like, oh, pretty rare coat. Like Athena, for example, had a very rare coat, and I was very excited about that. But try not to choose with your eyes. Choose with what story you like best, what you're most excited about hearing, and that needs to be your main focus. Your secondary focus can be looks, but make looks the secondary, not the primary. All right, so that is our technically third option now, is to play one of Seraph's pups to be in Lost River. Our fourth option is not Mikhail, but to play possibly from Mikhail's first two litters. His third litter would not be old enough. They would be yearlings at this point. They would absolutely not be old enough to play, but his first two litters absolutely are. So your options, and I can go through them, would be Zico, Storm, and Agni Kai, and I will show you their adult forms in a second. It's been a very long time since we've looked at these wolves. I don't want to play favorites, absolutely not, or even sway the vote. I will say I have talked about how Storm and Agni Kai might stay with the Snagglefang pack, with their father specifically, because he's encouraged that as a father. He loves his family being with him. But I have mentioned multiple times that I think Zico would go and find his own way. I think he would have a great potential to be a cool Lost River wolf to play. However, maybe Storm and Agni Kai don't want to be involved with the possible war. Maybe they don't love the ideas of what Teo is preaching. Or maybe they're simply like, you know what? I do want to go have my own family, and it's as simple as that, and they want to go to Lost River to have their own family. Now remember, Lost River is not a real place in Yellowstone, so we do have to have a fantastical way of how they got there, whether they stumbled upon it or something led them there, whispers on the wind, something else like possibly one of the goddesses speaking to them. Could be a cool idea, but either their first litter or their second, which we haven't gotten to play anybody from their second litter because it's semi-recent. But we have many because Mikhail has never lost a pup between Potato, Redwood, Rava, Birch, Heather, and Bramble. So we'll take a look at them real quick. Keeping track of all these wolves, y'all, is like a full-time job. So we have Potato, which was in the second litter. He would be one of the younger wolves to actually go out, but he is a potential wolf to play. Redwood is another. Rava is another. Storm is actually from his first litter, so he would be technically a little older, but we could just say that he went off right away. Maybe he didn't stay around. I could possibly see that being a thing. The cool thing about telling stories is that small details are very easy to retract. It's the big storylines that are hard. So it could be that Storm left altogether and he never did stick around. And here is Zico. He is the darkest boy I have ever seen in my life. I forgot how dark Zico was. Oh my gosh. He actually looks a lot like Aspen, just darker in general. Zico's the one that I think would absolutely go off on his own. He still has that almost kingly look to him, but he also has that attitude like, I want to do my own thing. Like, I'm so glad that Aurora and Dawn got chosen as heirs, but I'm the firstborn son, so if you're not going to pick me, I'll find my own way. And so I could see Zico doing that 100%. Of course, we have Agni Kai, Western's favorite. I do believe Birch is from the second litter, as well as Bramble. I believe Heather was one as well. And the rest would be too young to go off on their own to start their own litters and their own families. Those would be the only ones eligible as far as age is concerned. Please correct me if I'm wrong. I do get very confused with timelines. We jump all over the place with these timelines, so I just get like, what is going on? But yes, we could play some of Mikhail's wolves, and why they would go to Lost River would come later. But if you're interested in seeing any of those pups possibly be played, let me know by voting in the poll. I need you to vote. And then for your last option, but certainly not least option, would be to play one of Teo's pups from his first two litters. It would only be the first two litters. So from his first litter he ever had with Sundance, our options would be Moon Dancer, Seraphine, Eartham, and that was it. It was only those three. And then for the second litter was Root, Ember, Manda, who would be a runt playthrough. I've always been interested in playing a runt playthrough. We also have Willow, and Willow has an exciting way that I want to play her, where she would actually be possessed from time to time from the Willow that we lost in Aspen's playthrough. So it'd be like playing two wolves in one. And we have Crow as well. So we're gonna look through them real quick just because it's been a little bit of time since then. But now these pups would have a huge reason to possibly go back to Lost River, as I'm sure their father Teo has talked about Seraph and where he came from, where he was trained, his adventures with her in this mysterious place where humans used to live. They would have a lot of reason to go, possibly even to go back and try and do what Teo does with the wolves there. So as a recap for some of his pups from the first two litters, we have Seraphine, who definitely looks like her mom. We have Root, who has the Cinderella coat. Moon Dancer was one. Manda is one. She is the runt. Eartham is one as well. Crow is one as well. Here is Willow and Ember. So that is all of Teo's pups that would be eligible to play, as they would be old enough to go out and find mates and create families of their own. And so that will essentially be our poll. I'm going to go ahead and pull it up so you have an idea of what it will look like. All right, and this is what the poll will look like. So as I explained in the video, you will be able to choose from either Charm herself. She will be age 6. I will have to play her until she is age 6. One of Charm's living pups. The reason I specified living is because I don't want to play dead pups. I will be playing Aspen as a streaming series called Lost Soul, because I thought that would be fun. So I hope you guys will tune in for those streams. And on Twitch, I'm playing Hallowheart, who I created. She is also a dead wolf pup from Seraph's litters. So I really don't want a series from a dead wolf. I would like to play a living wolf and have a reason for why they are in Lost River. So one of Charm's living pups, one of Seraph's living pups, one of Mikhail's living pups from his first and second litter specifically. We won't be playing the third litter. They aren't old enough yet. I know y'all have a lot of love for some of the pups that are in the third litter of both Mikhail and Teo's children, but they won't be old enough to play yet in our timeline, and I'm trying to keep the timeline as close together as possible, as I've already messed it up once. But yes, any of their living pups from the first and second litter from Mikhail and Teo we can play. So I will not be voting. I will be holding off my vote if I need to be a tiebreaker. I just want y'all to vote. So this will be available to vote until the 21st of December. That is when the poll will end, so that I can announce it to y'all. And then if we need to start another poll, we can get that going. So by the time the first of the year comes, we're gonna have a new WolfQuest series in the Lost River map, which is the most exciting news I can give you today in this Wolf Talk. So the link to this poll is going to be down in the description below. It will literally say the poll. Just click on that. It will take you here. You don't have to sign in or do anything. All you have to do is click what you want to vote for and click vote, and then it will tally what you voted for. You are only allowed to vote for one. That's it. So you can't vote for any more. You only get to choose one. I know how hard that is, but yes, that's all you get. So make sure that choice works for you. I also ask that please, in Discord and in the comment section of this video, do not bully or harass people to vote for what you want to vote for. I've never seen that happen with y'all. Y'all have always been amazing as a community. I just want to throw it out there. We hit 2,000 subs, and as we grow bigger and bigger and bigger, it's going to happen where we might see some of those things. So I just want to nip that in the butt before it even becomes a possibility. So vote for what you want to vote for. I'm excited to see for what happens. I appreciate y'all hanging with me through this Wolf Talk and deciding what we are going to do on Sundays, since we no longer have Seraph to play, and to play the Lost River map, which I'm so excited. I hope you guys liked this video. I hope you're liking the WolfQuest series. If you do, please tickle and poke that like button. Subscribe to join our family if you haven't already, and jingle the bell so you're notified of when this series will actually start. Also, join Discord. I love talking with you guys in Discord, and feel free to follow me on Twitch as well. I go live on Twitch, not just YouTube. I love you guys. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time when we reveal who will be playing, or at the very least, another poll. Bye!